Hey guys, and welcome back to a new video. As you probably can see, it's also a new studio or a redesigned studio. I'm planning to do a lot more video content again, and creating a new studio space for myself was part of the deal for me. And in this video, we are going to install Kali Linux on WSL2, but not just Kali Linux, we're also going to install a very cool feature that is called WinCags, and that allows you to run Kali Linux in GUI version right out of WSL2. I recently published a YouTube short on that topic, and a lot of you guys asked me to create a guide on how to do this. So this is what this video is going to be. Okay, before you guys go, what the hell is he actually talking about running Kali Linux in GUI version on WSL2? I'm just gonna show you what I mean. So I'm gonna open up my Windows terminal here, and I run WSL2 in Windows terminal. So this is how my Windows terminal looks like. I have a whole tutorial series on how to get started with WSL2 and how to get your terminal to look exactly like mine. I will link it in the video description below. There is a 3-part written series, and there are 3 videos that you can also follow along to get it installed like this, but a little bit more on that later when we actually talk about how to install Kali Linux on WSL2. Okay, so this is my Windows terminal, as I said. This is Ubuntu. I use Ubuntu for web development. But if I click on this button here, then I have an option here called Kali GUI. And if I click on that, Kali Linux will fire up in the background, and it actually just booted up. Like, I didn't start it beforehand or anything. This is how fast it is. Now, this is a fully fledged version of Kali Linux, and you can use all the tools that you would use in a virtual machine as well. But it's running on WSL2, and because it's running on WSL2, it is really fast. Now, I have played around with it just a little bit yet. I didn't do any performance tests, but as far as I can tell, it's really fast and really well performing, and you can play around with the RAM allocation. But as of now, it actually has automatically assigned 16 gigabytes of RAM to that automatically, and I think this depends on how many virtual or how many instances of WSL you run. But since I don't run any other instances, it probably took half of my memory, because I have 32 gigabytes of RAM in my computer, so it took 16 gigabytes. And you can also see, I don't know if you see the cores here, but we don't, but the CPU usage is really low. As I said, I didn't do a particular performance test, but I played around with it a bit, and I didn't see any hiccups or any lags or anything, really. So you can use, of course, you can use your terminal inside of Kali Linux. It's a little bit of an inception going on here. But I have FUF installed, I played around with that a little bit. And you can use anything, really. And if you just look how quickly the browser starts and how you can, let's go to Google. It's all working like really fast and snappy, and I really like that. I actually prefer it over a virtual machine, because it's also, I think it's a little bit faster. I don't know. I didn't spend enough time with it yet. If you press F8 in here, this opens up the WinCags the context menu, and you can undo full screen. So you could just go ahead and you can even run multiple instances of that and put it next to each other however you want. But for this, it's a really cool feature. And you also can press F8, and then you can go on, I think, yeah, disconnect. You have a couple of other options here, but you can just click on disconnect, and this will close the window. Then it will ask you, do you want to reconnect? If you press Y, it will just reopen that. So you could just close it in the background. The session is still active. If I press Y now, then it should open up immediately. If I press F8 once more and I disconnect again, and then I press no, then it's actually going to shut down the machine, and it's closing the tab. Okay, but now let's actually talk about how we are going to install all of that. You probably think it's terribly complicated to do all of this. And I can just tell you it isn't. It's really easy. So let's walk through step by step. So as I previously mentioned, guys, to install WSL2 and Windows Terminal and to get all that set up, there is already a 3-part tutorial series, and it would make this video too long. So I would like to point you to this tutorial. If you go to my website, ezoic.com, you click on categories and then on WSL2, you will find all WSL2 related content. As I said, there is also a video on this channel that I will link in the upper right corner for you guys right now, that you can follow along if you prefer that. But what I want you to do is I want you to use this tutorial, install WSL2 on Windows, a complete step-by-step tutorial. Just open that up. Again, it's in the video description below. And I want you to follow through with this tutorial. If you haven't set up Windows Terminal and WSL2 yet, of course, here's the table of contents, and I want you to basically go until the end of this tutorial if you haven't set it up yet. Because for this to work, you actually need, or you should have, Windows Terminal installed, that you have it exactly like I have it. So I highly recommend you guys doing all of those steps and also installing Windows Terminal and configuring it. This is an important part so that you are able to follow along in the next steps. Alright guys, I hope you didn't have too much trouble following along with installing and getting WSL2 and Windows Terminal all set up. Let's go ahead and install Kali Linux. So press the Windows key and type in store to open the Microsoft Store. Now you can also install that using PowerShell, of course, but I found sometimes there are some issues when I do it that way, so I usually go and search it here. So I shall search for Kali Linux up here. And you'll find the Kali Linux app, and then you just click on install. Now it's downloading it and installing it, and it should just take a couple of seconds. It's 200 megabytes. And once that download is finished, let's just wait for it. Then another window pops up that requires you to set up a username and a password. So let's wait for that to finish. Should be just a couple of seconds. Come on. There we go. Now it's installing, and probably not going to open by itself. So I'm just going to click on open here. Yeah, there we go. So you have to click on open. Let's close that up, drag that in here. And I cannot make it bigger, unfortunately, now. So now it's asking for a username. So I'm going to enter a username, and then you enter a password. There we go. And that's it. Now you get a message here. This is a minimal installation of Kali Linux. You likely want to install supplementary tools. Learn how. And this is what we are going to check out in just a second. For now, I want you guys to quickly go ahead and restart your computer, because this helps us to get set up with Windows Terminal easier than adding this profile manually. There are sometimes if you install a new distribution, then it will not be right visible inside of Windows Terminal. So usually a quick reboot helps. So let's just do that and meet back here when we are done. Let's see if that worked. Last time it didn't. Let's check it. Okay, let's open up Windows Terminal, guys, and see if we can access Kali Linux from here already. First startup always takes a couple of seconds. Okay, let's check. And yes, no, it didn't. Like, this is the problem still what I see with Windows Terminal occasionally. If you uninstall something and reinstall it, it sometimes can mess up your profiles here. But for you guys, you should see Kali-Linux here right now if you just installed it for the first time. Should it not show up for you guys, you can simply fix that by clicking on add a new profile, and then it's actually here for me, but I cannot see it. So this is what I'm talking about now. I have it 3 times here, and I just click on duplicate here. But what I want you to do is to click on add new profile, and then a new empty profile, just in case it doesn't show up, right? And then you can name that Kali. And then what you want to put in here is actually WSL, WSL.exe -d for distribution and Kali-Linux. You can change the icon if you really wanted to, and give it a tab title, Kali, whatever. And then click on save. And once you do that, you can access it from here. Now, since I have definitely enough of those already, so I'm gonna just open up any. Now this is gonna open up all the same. And now we are inside of Kali Linux. So we do the first thing, we are going to make this a lot bigger and we cd into the root directory. You can see this warning here. We are gonna get rid of it later, or I'm pretty sure you can do this by your own, right? So I'll leave that to you. And then we do sudo apt and update, and then we type in our password. Fetching. 70 packages can be upgraded, so we do sudo apt upgrade. 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 Okay. Yes. So I quickly let that to be installed, and then we continue with installing some Kali meta packages. Actually, while that is running, we can have a look at that directly. So I open up my browser here, and I think I have it opened. Kali meta. Yeah, there we go. So there are the Kali meta tools, and this is specifically for minimal installations. And if you remember, it told us that this is like a core installation thing. So what I usually want to do first is I want to install the Kali tools top 10. Now this Kali meta page here, you can find that on the Kali website. This describes all of the Kali meta packages. And if you look through that, and if you click on dependencies, you can actually see which kind of tools it will install. So those are tools I regularly use, and I like this package. I don't like to have a bloated version of a bunch of tools I don't even use at all. So I usually really like to do that and just install the top tools or whatever. Just install the tools that I want. I'm basically not using Kali Linux at all. I'm using Ubuntu even for hacking. So once we have sudo apt updated and upgraded, we can go ahead and we can do sudo apt install, and then it was called Kali -tools -top 10. And if we click on enter, it should find that. And this is a 2.5 gigabyte large package. And yeah, whatever, just let's install it and quickly wait for that. By the way, guys, just a quick shameless plug while this is installing here. If you're interested in learning more about WSL2, I'm very close to releasing a complete WSL2 course for web development and ethical hacking over at Udemy, and you will learn when this course will be released over at Twitter, probably within the next couple of weeks. And this course actually covers a lot of stuff that we just go through here. It will cover this very section where we install Kali Linux and all kinds of tools. And I will show you my ethical hacking workflow, and you will learn everything you need to know about WSL2. And especially if you're a web developer, this will be very useful to boost your productivity. There's also a bunch of bonus sections in there, like a Linux primer, Linux basics, and so on. Okay, let's continue with the configuration here. Configuring, right? I don't care about any of that right now. I'm not gonna configure anything. So now it's installing. Let's meet here when it's done. Oh, and by the way, guys, have you heard about NordVPN yet? No, I'm just joking, sorry. Okay, that looks good. We have that installed. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to actually install a desktop environment so we can then use a GUI, right? So for that I'm going to install the default XFCE desktop environment. So it's sudo apt install Kali -desktop -xfce -y. Okay, let's install it. Another 400 megabytes. Okay, be right back. Why did I start this YouTube channel? Ah, finally. Oh my god, that took so long. Okay, keyboard layout. Choose whatever you want. It's just really for the GUI. I know, but he's doing those videos. They take so long. Jokes aside, let's continue. Okay, we have everything set up. We can now go ahead and do sudo apt install -y Kali win kex. And this is the actual tool that we want to install to run our GUI. So let's do that. Please, not another half an hour. Come on. Okay, this is much faster. I like it. Okay, now starting WinKex, we can start it right from the terminal, and let's copy and paste that command here. So you can always start it right out of the shell by doing kex -win -s, and if you hit that, you need to enter a password. It requires you to enter a password just for safety. Must be at least 6 characters. Okay, so we do. What do we do? That will not work. I do 666 666. Very safe. 666 666. Come on. Would you like to enter a view only password? No. No, no password. Yes. Okay. And there we go. it's starting. Yes, we are inside. Plugin Power Manager unexpectedly left the panel. We want to restart it. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Remove. There we go. Okay, it's quiet now. Now this is obviously this is the same thing that I have showed you in the beginning of the video. If you press F8, it opens up the context menu. If you don't run some other tools that are blocking it, in my case, it's this screenshot tool. Just give me 1 second to clean that up. Come on. Yes. Okay. Fire it back up, and now F8 should work. And we can click disconnect to get out of there again. And then we are where we have, or what we have seen before. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to integrate the whole GUI into Windows Terminal. And how do we do that? We do that by editing the settings here. So we go to this arrow thing again, and we go on settings, and then we need to open this JSON file. Now you can open that in your favorite code editor or in just plain simple notepad. I'm gonna try to move that in here. And yeah, then we see we need to add some entry here. And we scroll down until we find this list of profiles. So we go until profiles. There are some defaults set. You can play around with that too if you want. And here is this list. It's an array of objects. And we see a bunch of things here. So we can see this is our PowerShell. This is our command line CMD. Then we have the Azure Cloud Shell thingy. And if we go a little bit more, we should find this is my Ubuntu. This is the other Ubuntu, and where it is here. So we have this Kali Linux object here, and we have a GUID, and this is what we need to actually launch that. So how we do that is we add a new object here, and I'm gonna copy and paste that from my script. And you just put a comma on the end of the last entrance, on the end of the last curly brace of this object, and you just write in this code here, or you just pause the video and type it off. So GUID, you need to put the GUID of your Kali instance. So you copy that, simply including the curly braces, and it stays a string. So you just copy that in here, and you can see this is the same UID, and this is probably some leftover of my old Kali installation, which I can now remove. I don't need it anymore. And then is a hidden attribute that it's false, and the name for that is Kali GUI, and that's what I show you in the beginning of the video. And then there is the command line command that fires that up. Basically, it's almost the same. It's WSL -D for distribution Kali Linux, and then kex -- WT start -S. This is what we want. Control S for save. Close it. And it says, yeah, this is just an error that we got before we changed the value here, so we can ignore that. And just for good measure, let's close. Actually not, don't press close, press save first, just for good measure. And then click close, close all windows. And let's restart WSL2 here. And let's drag that thing again in the middle. Then open up our menu, and we should see Kali GUI, and we do see Kali GUI. And if everything went right so far, and we did not make any mistakes, and we click on Kali GUI, boom, there we go. Kali Linux right inside or on top of WSL2. We made it. We are there again. And this works as I have showed you in the beginning of this video. And now you can go ahead and install stuff as you want. In here, you can play around with the context menu by pressing F8 and do it not full screen. Just drag it around a little bit. As I said, it's automatically adjusting. And yeah, then you basically have it set up. You can always close that here and not reinitiate the connection, but then go back to your initial shell, which is not in there for me anymore because it's again messed up probably. So I'm just gonna add a new profile here, and I do just a copy of this Kali Linux thing. Click on save, and I go back to my shell. And this is the same shell that you would have inside of the GUI. So you can now also go ahead and install your stuff here. If you want to install tools, you don't always need to fire up the GUI version of Kali. You can install that right inside of this shell too. And what else you can do now is you can use Burp Suite. If you have installed the top 10 tools or Burp Suite, you can press Windows key and you type burp, like I showed you in the beginning of the video. Now this might be bugging out. No, it doesn't, because I reinstalled it. So it's firing up, it's working as intended. And yeah, that's it guys. I really hope you made it so far, and I would be really happy to know what you guys think about this after you have been using it for a while. Performance wise especially, let me know in the comments below what you think. Okay guys, I really hope you did enjoy this little video on Kali Linux in WSL2. As I said, the WSL2 course is coming out very soon. You can be excited for that, especially if you're looking into a better workflow for your programming or web development. In this course we cover JavaScript, web development, Python, everything there is to know about working with WSL2 on a daily basis, as well as the ethical hacking part that is included in the course. And I think it will raise your productivity quite a bit. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you think about the new studio, if you like the new environment. And I'll see you back in the next one. Thanks for watching guys. Until then.